2, 1.
Welcome, everyone, to today's Town of Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. The date is November 5th, and the year is 2020. I'll start the meeting as I usually do by reading the following notice. This meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please let us know. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 23rd order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Chatham Zoning Board is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 508-945-4410, and then you would use the conference ID number 345-019-238, followed by the pound sign. Despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access, and we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. So to start, we need to have a roll call of all the members authorizing this format. And please give your full name. We'll start with Dave Veach.
Dave Veach, present. David H. Veach, present.
Thank you. Paul?
Paul Semple, present.
Happy?
Happy Vinsicle, present.
Buck?
James M. Upson, present.
Dennis?
Dennis Sullivan, present.
Dave Thompson?
Dave Thompson, present, sir.
Megan?
Megan Story, present.
And I am David S. Nixon, and it's my great honor to be the chairman of this Board of Distinguished Citizens. I'll ask all citizens and non-board members participating in the call by phone only for their name and last four digits of their phone number for ID purposes when you call in. The notice today will be read by Sarah B. Clark, the hearing notices. Sarah Clark is the PPO for the town of Chatham. That's the principal permitting officer, as well as being the executive secretary for the Zoning Board of Appeals. After she has read the notice, then the representative or the individual would present the appeal or the application. Following that, we'd ask for anybody who would like to speak in favor of the application to do so, and you do this by raising your hand on your screen so that Sarah may see you, so that she can let me know that you wish to be identified. I would then read any and all letters that we had received. Following that, we would ask for anybody who wishes to speak against the appeal or has a specific question to do so, and you would do the same as those speaking in favor. You would indicate on the screen to Sarah by the hand waving that you wish to speak. If we do have something in that line, then the applicant may rebut the testimony. Following that, the board members will direct the questions to anyone present who either asked a question or was part of the presentation. Following all that, we would then close the public hearing and we would deliberate. The public is not invited to deliberate. You may be invited into the discussion by a member of the board if they so wish. Following that, we would vote on the appeal. In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, to be successful, you need a supermajority. Since there are 5 votes per item, you need to get 4 in the affirmative to be successful. Voting today would be Dave Veach, Paul Semple, Happy Van Sickle, Buck Upson, and myself. All votes are taken by roll call. And I think with that, we can have our first appeal, Sarah. I believe it's application 20-062.
Application number 20-062, Richard and Nancy Bowman, care of Rick Roy, 123A Queen Anne Road, Harwich, Mass. 02645. Owner of property located at 24 Cedar Street, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 14C, Block 1, Lot 1. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a non-conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the construction of an addition. Also proposed is the construction of a conforming garage/workshop. The existing dwelling is non-conforming and it is located 22.5 feet from the easterly abutter and 22.9 feet from the westerly abutter. The proposed addition will be non-conforming and that it will be located 24.9 feet from the easterly abutter where a 25-foot setback is required. The existing building coverage is 1,651 square feet and the proposed building coverage is 2,184 square feet, where 2,850 square feet is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming and that it contains 22,300 square feet, where 40,000 square feet is required in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Chatham Protected Bylaw.
Mr. Roy, you have the floor.
Well, it's Patty Buck. Mr. Roy is not
hi.
here today.
He must be out sailing or yachting or
Somewhere
something.
not
Okay.
All right?
Okay, Patty.
Okay. Which
You have the floor.
I know, this is fun. Where the Baumans just are looking for a small inclusion into the setback. They are already at 22.5, but as the lot expands or gets a little wider towards where the addition is going to go, it makes it so it's 24.9 feet from the setback. The adequacy of this, the size of the site, suitability, impact on traffic flow and safety all remain the same. Impact on the neighborhood, adequacy of the sewage system, nothing changes. Utilities, noise and litter, compatibility with the proposed use, everything remains the same. It is not going to change at all from the front. It's just a small addition off the back of the garage. Are there any questions or?
Okay, so that is your presentation. Very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate to Sarah now that you would like to speak.
I see no one that would like to speak in favor of this application.
Okay, then I will read the correspondence. And first we have a memo. This is from Judith Giorgio, health agent for the town of Chatham. She writes on 11/4, I have reviewed the plan to renovate this property. Our records indicate that the existing dwelling is currently connected to municipal sewer. The plan as proposed may add sewer flow to the property since the proposed quote-unquote workroom may meet the definition of a bedroom in accordance with the Board of Health regulations. Approval for additional flow will be required by the Water and Sewer Department. Then we have a note. This is from the Conservation Commission. And they write on November 5th. The commission reviewed the Clark Engineering LLC site plan, last revised 8/26/20, for the removal of a shed and the addition of a new section of driveway, construction of an addition to the dwelling and a new deck section to the dwelling, and construction of a new structure that will be a garage, workshop, and guest quarters. There will be an additional 1,250 square feet of site coverage from the addition, deck expansion, additional driveway, and the new structure, meaning the garage. The applicant proposes to add 1,486 square feet of mitigation plantings, including trees and native plant material. An order of conditions was issued September 14th, 2020. I would now ask for anybody in the audience who wishes to either speak against this or has a specific question to please indicate to Sarah now.
David, I see one hand raised, but I'm not sure if their hand is just up because they're not in a butter to the property or if they just have it up. So the owners of Sequanset, did you wish to speak in favor of this application or in opposition?
We don't have our hand up, so I'm not sure what that's.
Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and lower
Oh,
your
I'm
hand.
sorry. I don't know how that happened. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right, sorry.
Okay, so Sarah, the hand's down, so there's no one who wishes to speak, correct?
There's no one that wishes to speak.
Okay, very good. We'll go on to questions from the board, and we'll start with Happy.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, Buck, to you.
This is Buck. I have no questions.
Dennis?
Sorry, Dennis Sullivan, no questions.
Dave Thompson?
Mr. Nixon, I have no questions, but why did it take till November 5th for the Conservation Commission to render a decision?
Well, I think they actually rendered the decision back in, get that memo, back in August. So an order of conditions was issued on September 14th, 2020.
But they never told us about it.
Well, they could have, but this was not coming up in front of us until now.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Okay. So Megan, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Dave Leach?
Dave Beach has no questions.
Paul?
Paul Semple has no questions.
And I have no questions. So Paul, would you entertain a motion, please?
Yes, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
David Beach seconds.
Okay, then the 5 voters will ring in on that. Dave Beach, you vote?
Yes, excuse me, this is certainly not substantially.
No.
Oh, vote, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself.
Go into.
Beach votes yes.
Yep. Okay, Paul,
Paul Semple votes yes.
Happy?
Happy votes yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, Dave Beach, deliberation.
I forgot what I was, certainly this is an improvement and it's certainly not substantially more detrimental. It's a 1/10 of a foot, asking for a 1/10 of a foot relief when there's already more incursion on that side. It certainly meets all of our criteria and we'll support it.
Okay, are you worried about any sort of conditions?
Well, given that there's construction going on in the rear under which we have no control, I don't see trying to impose conditions based on this addition, which is not large.
Okay, Paul?
Yes, this is Paul Semple. I agree with what David V just said.
Okay, Happy?
I agree with the gentleman. This is Happy.
Buck?
This is Buck. I agree with David Veach.
Dennis?
Dennis Sullivan agrees with everyone else. Thank you.
Dave Thompson?
Dave Thompson agrees with everyone else. Thank you, sir.
Megan?
I agree as well.
Okay, Paul, motion, please.
Yes, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to approve the application as submitted.
David
Okay.
Beach second.
Okay, and that's with no condition, correct? So we'll now vote on that. Dave Beach, how do you vote?
Beach votes yes.
Paul,
Sample votes yes.
Happy,
Abby votes yes.
Buck,
Buck votes yes.
and I vote yes. That's a unanimous vote. Thank you, Patty, for filling in for Rick.
Thank you. It was
Okay. All right, so Sarah, let's go to 20-063.
Application number 20-063, Pan Russ LLC, care of William G. Litchfield Esquire, 330 Orleans Road, North Chatham, Mass. 02650. Owner of property located at 57 Captain Richard Way, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 10D, Block 94, Lot R5. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the demolition of the existing dwelling and construction of a new dwelling. The proposed dwelling will comply with all bulk and dimensional requirements of the bylaw, but is considered a substantial alteration, and under the second accept clause of Section 6 of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, such substantial alteration requires the grant of a special permit. The existing building coverage is 610 square feet, 4%, and the proposed building coverage is 1,288 square feet, 8%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming, and then it contains 15,986 square feet, or 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Chatham Protective Bylaw.
Mr. Litchfield, we turn this over to you, and I trust that you won't have as many words today as you had 2 weeks ago.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Not only that, I understand that there will be somewhat less correspondence for you to read, sir, which will perhaps be pleasing to you and your colleagues on the board. Thank you. Bill Litchfield here on behalf of Pan Russ LLC, which in reality is Lorraine Foley Pantano and Peter Pantano. I'm not sure whether they're with us today, but I'm sure they're watching in any event, even if they're not directly participated. As Sarah read, we have a non-conforming lot. Everything else on the lot does conform, but under Yorkland and Bransford, those cases, we are required to request your approval to demolish the existing conforming structure and replace it with a similar but better and more aesthetically appropriate conforming structure. So you have the plans. You've no doubt been out there, and you're aware that the road was originally a cottage colony. This is one of the cottages, but it's not on the condominium lot that you pass going through. It is a single-family residence, and the Pantanos want to continue it on that way. The site is certainly adequate for something that was built there circa 1954. Very small house with a 4% lot coverage. What we are proposing to do is, as Sarah just showed, is to replace that cottage with a new but still modest home sited at the center of the lot, more than doubling the required setbacks. We're 30-odd feet from the north and the south, 50 feet back from the street. The footprint will be at 8% of the lot, less than half of the 2,800 square feet, which would otherwise be allowed. And there is something that I brought to Sarah's attention earlier this morning, and I want to disclose to you. Is when you went out there, you saw just where the front porch is proposed to be located. You saw an existing shed. And through some communications issues, we weren't sure what was going to happen with that shed. The Pantanos would like to retain it on the premises. It is less than 100 square feet, and they propose to move it to the rear of the lot, meeting the abutter's setback of 8.3 feet. I encouraged them to consider removing the shed to a substantial knoll of upland off of Chat Harbor Lane, but they declined to do that. So they would like to retain the shed. It does not, however, require any relief from this board. I simply want to disclose it to you that the coverage will be 1,288 square feet plus the 80 square feet for the existing shed. As the compatibility of size you have in front of you, a chart which I prepared and Sarah sent out, showing that we currently have the lowest coverage on the street at 4%. And if you approve the special permit, we'll be up to 8%, 8.1%. We'll still be nearly the lowest. The size of the proposed house in terms of gross floor area and living area is completely compatible. There is no increase in nonconformity whatsoever. The site is clearly suitable and does not have any impact on the natural environment. What is proposed is a simple and traditional Greek revival with a porch. It remains reasonable and appropriate for the site. Certainly the mass is consistent with the surroundings and there's no impact on neighborhood visual character. The chair will read a letter from the health agent indicating that we are connecting to town sewer, which will allow us to increase from the existing 2 bedrooms in the cottage to 3 bedrooms on the proposed home. So the issue before you is whether the construction of a new family home for Peter and Lorraine, which is completely conforming in all dimensional aspects, is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. House will remain compatible, but for Bjorkland, which was designed to prevent McMansions, we wouldn't be in front of you. Well, plainly, this is far from a McMansion. What is proposed is appropriate for the site. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Litchfield. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate now to Sarah on the screen that you wish to speak.
I see no one that wishes to speak in favor.
Okay, the only correspondence, as Mr. Litchfield said, is from Judith Giorgio, the Board of Health agent. And she writes on 11/4, I've reviewed the revised plans proposed for the new dwelling at this property. The proposed 3-bedroom dwelling has been approved for connection to the town sewer system. That doesn't mean it has been connected, it's just been approved for it. I have no concerns, she said. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against this application or has a specific question? If so, please indicate now so that Sarah can pick you up.
I see no one that wishes to speak in opposition.
Okay, fine, thank you. Questions from the board. Let's start with Dennis.
Dennis Sullivan, I have no questions.
Dave Thompson.
Dave Thompson has no questions, sir.
Megan.
Megan Story has no questions.
Dave Veach.
Veach has no questions.
Paul.
Semple has no questions.
Happy.
Happy has no questions.
Buck.
No questions from Buck.
Okay. Paul, we entertain a motion.
Yes, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
David Veach seconds.
Okay. How do you vote on that, Mr. Veach?
Veach votes yes.
Paul?
Semple votes yes.
Happy?
Happy votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Deliberations, let's start with Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Thompson has no questions. He's very in favor.
Okay, Megan?
I would completely agree.
Dave Veach?
Yes, this is certainly not substantially more detrimental in the neighborhood. It meets all the criteria. Nice project. I can support it.
Paul?
Yes, this is Paul Semple. It certainly meets all of our criteria and is not substantially more detrimental.
Happy?
I agree.
Buck?
It's obviously a very nice project under the maximum coverage, and I support it.
Dennis?
Dennis Sullivan, there's a substantial benefit to the property, to the neighborhood. If I were voting, I certainly would vote in favor.
Okay. Okay. So, Paul? Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anybody be concerned about conditions.
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to approve the application as submitted. I don't see a need for conditions. There's a fairly large lot there. It looks as if they can keep all of the construction vehicles and so forth off the street.
Okay.
David Veach seconds that.
Okay, so we'll vote on that. Dave Veach, how do you vote?
Veach votes yes.
Paul,
Sample votes yes.
Happy,
Happy votes yes.
Buck,
Upson votes yes.
and I vote yes. That's a unanimous decision. Thank you very much, Mr. Litchfield.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Sarah, 20-064.
Application number 20-064, Debbie and Paul Dyken, owners of property located at 46 Bog Way, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map, 6C, Block 18, Lot 6. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a non-conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the construction of addition. The existing dwelling is non-conforming in that it is located 21.6 feet from Bog Way, 23.3 feet from Woods End Road, and where a 25-foot setback is required. The proposed addition will comply with road and abutter setbacks. The existing building coverage is 1,973 square feet, 21.9%, and the proposed building coverage is 2,083 square feet, 23.1%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming in that it contains 9,066 square feet, where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Chatham Protective Bylaw.
Thank you, Sarah. And I presume either Mr. or Mrs. Dyken is going to present this. If so, would they please identify themselves now?
Paul Dyken.
Very good. Floor is yours, Paul.
Oh, thank you. What we're proposing to do is enclose the area. As you can see, there's a garage, an existing garage, and an existing sunroom. And we propose to fill in that area. There's 3 existing walls, and we propose to add an additional wall that would be contiguous with the garage wall and jut in 2 feet into where the main house is. This proposed addition would provide us with access directly into our garage. The attachment to the garage that you see is basically the bulkhead entrance to the basement. So right now, for us to access our garage, we would have to go outside or go through our basement to get in, to enter into the garage. And what we're proposing to do is open up a wall that's in the sunroom so that we could walk directly through the proposed addition into our garage. And this area would also include a small laundry area where we would move the existing laundry equipment that we have, which is basically in a closet right now. And that would give my wife some additional space for that activity. The proposal would include a small crawl space underneath that so that we could access some of the utilities. What we're asking for is a variance here for us to complete this task. We plan on staying here. We've been here since 1997, and we've improved the house from a basic cottage to the house that we occupy, as well as a garage for our car. And I hope that we can prevail with this.
Okay, I'd ask you to go through the criteria, and Paul, just one correction. You're not asking for a variance. You're asking for a special permit. You don't want to be asking for that.
I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. People confuse the terms, and it means very different things. So, special permit, fine. Would you quickly go through the criteria, please?
Sure. As you know, that the site is non-conforming. It's in a zoning district that's R20. As was stated, that the addition will comply with road and abutter setbacks and height requirements. The coverage does exceed the requirements, so we're asking for that special permit. the compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. There's been many improvements in the area, which was once a small cottage area that we used to rent years and years ago, and we were fortunate enough to buy in this area, but it continues to change and evolve, but all for the better. There's some beautiful homes that have been constructed in this area. So as far as size and compatibility with the purpose, I would say that it's adequate. We will be increasing the building coverage by approximately 100 square feet. And the suitability of the site and runoff, we're not imposing any additional resources here or anything that would harm the environment. We think it's suitable, the site for the addition, and shouldn't impact the neighboring properties. As I said, we continue to enhance our property and try and keep it neat and clean. The scale, I don't think, should impact the neighborhood. It's compatible. This is a single family home which we occupy, and we don't propose to change the existing sewage disposal. We're not, or add additional water usages here. I think it's adequate for drainage. We have good sandy soil here, and we're elevated this lot. As far as traffic flow, it shouldn't impact any additional traffic flow here or noise or litter other than during the construction period. But there's numerous projects that are going on in the neighborhood, so I don't think it should adversely affect the neighbors. And as far as the utilities, they're adequate.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this? If so, please indicate on your screen so that Sarah can see you.
I see no one that wishes to speak in favor of the application.
Okay, then I will read the correspondence, which is a note from Judith Giorgio, Board of Health. On 11/4, she writes, I have reviewed the plan to add a laundry area on the first floor at this property. The changes as proposed do not increase the sewage flow at the property, nor will it encroach on the existing septic system. I have no concerns. If there's anyone in the audience that now would like to speak either against this application or has a specific question, please so indicate to Sarah now.
There is no one that wishes to speak in opposition.
Okay, so we'll now have questions from the board. We'll start with Megan.
Sorry, I am here. I think it's a nice project and I actually have no questions.
Okay, Dave Veach.
Dave Veach has no questions.
Paul.
Paul Sample has no questions.
Happy.
Happy has no questions.
Buck.
Buck has no questions.
Dennis.
Dennis Sullivan, no questions.
Nor do I. Okay, Paul, a motion, please.
Yeah, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, the vote on that. Dave Veach.
Veach votes yes.
Paul.
Semple votes yes.
Happy.
Happy votes yes.
Buck.
Buck votes yes.
And I vote yes. So deliberations, Dave Veach, what's just been on this?
Well, this is really de minimis, I would say. This is certainly not substantially more detrimental in any way, shape, or form. It meets all of our criteria, and I'll happily support it.
Paul?
Yeah, this is Paul Semple. I agree. The increase in building coverage is really small, and it's all contained within the same area, general area of the buildings that exist now. So I will certainly be in favor.
Happy?
I agree with those comments. I would be in favor.
Buck?
I'm in favor of it.
Dennis?
Yeah, Dennis Sullivan, I agree with everyone said. Good project.
Dave Thompson?
No questions. I agree wholeheartedly with everything that's been said.
Megan?
I agree as well, and if I were voting, I would certainly vote yes.
And I agree, it certainly is not substantially more detrimental in any way, shape, or form to the neighborhood. Okay, Paul, I don't think we need any conditions on this, so would you have a motion, please?
Yeah, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to approve the application as submitted.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, voting. Dave Veach, how do you vote?
Veach votes yes.
Paul,
Semple votes yes.
Happy?
Happy votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Dyken. That's a unanimous vote.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and my wife
Okay.
appreciates it.
Good. Okay, Sarah, let's go on to 20-065.
Application number 20-065, the Glenview Trust Company, care of Thad Eldridge, 1038 Main Street, Chatham, Mass. 02633, owner of property located at 40 Gamies Lane, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 15B, Block 7, Lot 4A. The applicant seeks to construct an elevated stairs and a catwalk as allowed by special permit under Section 4A3A of the Protective Bylaw. The lot contains 52,100 square feet in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 9, and Section 8D2B of the Chatham Protective Bylaw.
Okay, so Thad, you were there.
That I am. How are you this afternoon?
I'm fine, thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So the existing site, there is a set of stairs that lead down to a salt marsh with a path over the salt marsh. And the proposal is to replace those stairs, shifting them over slightly, and then construct a seasonal catwalk over the salt marsh, thus protecting the salt marsh. To break into the general standards, the proposed structure is slightly larger than the existing structure, but it's not uncommon in size, 36-inch wide catwalk. We do have the stairs that are being proposed for shoreline access. The intensity of the use might increase slightly because it's a little more inviting to walk across a catwalk than across a salt marsh. And the abutter to the west was consulted before we even started because we wanted to keep in the same footprint and stay within 25 feet of their property line. The proposed use should not promote any offensive activity, and really the rest of the general is not applicable. So the site is adequate for the existing and the proposed use. Without the water, I don't think a catwalk would really be adequate or suitable. And the impact on the traffic flow and safety is not applicable. The visual character, the stairs will be minimally visible from the water, and the catwalk itself is a pretty typical element that you'd find around the mill pond. There's nothing happening with the septic system. Nothing happening with utilities with it either. Noise and litter should be pretty minimal. And the compatibility of the proposed use, there are several access points to Mill Pond, so this is compatible. These stairs have been designed to minimize the damage to the environment, so it's getting people up and off that salt marsh. We do have a condition with the Conservation Commission that in 3 years we're going to look at it and make sure that the grasses have grown in, and if not, we'll be back there to augment the grasses and make sure the salt marsh bounces back. We do have a proposed kayak rack that's up on the hillside, so that'll keep the kayaks off the salt marsh. Not a formula-based business, and we are in the floodplain. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Thad. Is there anyone on the audience who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate on the screen so that Sarah can see you.
I see no one that wishes to speak in favor.
Okay, the correspondence consists of a note from Callie Harper. She's our conservation agent. She writes, on November 4th, after reviewing the ZBA agenda for the above referenced date, I have complied the following comments. 40 Gamies Lane, proposed rebuilding of stairs, installation of a seasonal catwalk to the edge of the marsh, and addition of a kayak rack and catwalk storage. The order of conditions was approved with special and general conditions. It unfortunately doesn't give us a date. Thad, do you know what date if this was approved?
Last night.
Ah, November 4th. Okay. Very good. November 4th. Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak now against the application or has a specific question? If so, please indicate on the screen so that Sarah can pick you up.
There is no one that wishes to speak in opposition to the application.
Okay, then we'll have questions from the board. Paul, do you have any questions?
This is Paul Semple. I have no questions.
Happy?
Happy has no questions.
Buck?
Buck has no questions.
Dennis?
Dennis Sullivan, no questions.
Dave Thompson?
Dave Thompson, no questions.
Megan?
Megan Story, no questions.
Dave Veach?
Veach has no questions.
Nor do I. So, Paul, we can entertain a motion.
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, we need a vote on that. Dave Veach, how do you vote?
Veach votes yes.
Paul?
Semple votes yes.
Happy?
Happy votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Deliberations. Happy? What do you think of this?
I think this looks like a great proposal, and and as long as conservation's okay with it, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Buck?
Well, it's certainly not detrimental to the neighborhood, and it does remove foot traffic from the salt marsh. I will support it.
Dennis?
If I were voting, I'd certainly vote in favor of it. Nice project.
Dave Thompson?
I also agree that I would go along with it.
Megan?
I agree as well. It's a nice project.
Dave Veach?
Yes, meets all the criteria, and I agree with all the previous.
Paul?
Paul Semple, I agree it meets all of our criteria. There are certainly other structures similar to this all along the shore there, so it should be fit and fine.
And I'm certainly in favor. Okay, so does anybody have any reason to put any kind of condition on this?
This is Paul Semple. I don't see any need for conditions given the size of the lot and the remoteness of the location.
Okay, so Paul, how about a motion for a vote?
Yep. This is Paul Semple. I'll move to approve the application as submitted.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, there's a vote. Dave Veach, you vote?
Veach votes yes.
Paul?
Semple votes yes.
Happy?
Happy votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
And I vote yes. That is a congratulations. That is a unanimous vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
All right, Sarah, 20-066.
Application number 20-066, Mark and Deborah Fulton, care of Mark Zebrat, 63 Cedar Road, Chatham, Mass. 02633, owner of property located at 107 Main Street, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 16B, Block 78, Lot 63. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a non-conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the construction of a second-floor addition between the dwelling and garage. The proposed addition will be constructed on the same footprint, 10.7 feet from the northerly abutters setback, but due to an increase in height within the setback, the grant of a special permit is required. The existing dwelling is non-conforming, and that it is located 2.2 feet from the northerly abutter, where 15 feet is required, and is located 19.1 feet from the road, where 25 feet is required. The building coverage will remain 3,023 square feet, 25.8%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming, and then it contains 11,700 square feet, where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Chatham Protected Bylaw.
Mr. Chairman, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, this is David Veach. I'm on the abutters list for this project, so I will be recusing.
Okay, then Sarah, who would be the appropriate voter?
I believe Megan would be the voter in this case. Let me just get my folder for that. But I think Dave and Dennis both voted at the previous meetings. So I believe it's Megan's turn. Actually, no, it is Dennis Sullivan will be the voter on this one.
Yeah, because Megan was on the Little
I was
Beach.
gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, Megan voted on October 8th. I just had to pull the folder, so I had it.
Okay, very good. Okay, Mark, please, presentation. Did we lose Mr. Zebrat? Hello?
It appears that we did.
I wonder if he muted himself. Mark, are you?
He appears to be off of the meeting.
Oh,
We do have the next applicant available.
well,
If you wanted, if you wanted to proceed, and in the background, I can try to get in touch with Mark.
okay. Let's do, I like that idea. Let's do 20-067.
Okay. Application number 20-067, David D. and Giselle L. DeMadris Trust, owners of property located at 114 Sequoia Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 8D, Block 10, Lot R8. The applicant proposes to install an exterior mechanical system appliance generator 13 feet from the westerly abutter, where a 15-foot setback is required. The proposed generator will be located next to an existing AC condenser. The lot contains 30,454 square feet in an R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 8D2B of the Chatham Protected Bylaw.
Okay, and I do believe the applicants are presenting this themselves. If so, yes. Identify yourself, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Dave DeMagistris, and I'm accompanied by my wife, Giselle Limentani.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay, so basically, we currently have a generator about 13 years old on the east side of the house, and it is no longer functioning. And in looking at different generator options, South Shore recommended that the current gas flow to that generator was inappropriate, but we relocate the new generator to the west side of the house, adjacent to where the gas line comes into the house.
Hello?
Yes? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Sorry, that's Mark Zebrat. I just called him in. We lost your connection, Mark, so we moved to the generator application, and we'll do yours right after this.
Okay, not a problem. That wasn't my fault then.
No, I understand. It's okay.
I heard everything you were saying. All of a sudden, it was gone. So you're going to send me, I just go back to the link?
Yes, just go back to the link.
Okay, thank you.
Would you please continue? Sorry for the
no
interruption.
Anyway, so the proposal is to relocate the generator to the west side of the house, which would be closer to the gas line. This will also enable us not to put a new gas line through the basement of the house, which would require additional construction and potential collateral damage. So it's a much more streamlined approach. So we do potentially encroach on the 15-foot setback. The current generator, the one on the east side that we're replacing, actually is currently just inside the property line. So I guess this would be a little bit better from that standpoint as well. And Sarah's showing showing the spot on the lot map. And the green dot is where the generator is to be placed, which is right behind our current garage. Back wall of the garage lot line is 18 feet 7 inches.
18.7 feet.
18.7 feet. I'm not sure about that.
Well,
Anyway,
whatever.
so we're requesting the special permit to place the new generator at this proposed location. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Okay, I think that's fine, and I'm not going to have you go through all the criteria. I don't think that's necessary. As I understand, I was out there yesterday, and your wife was kind enough to explain to me what had happened to the previous generator. And we don't want that to happen again. So with that, I would say to anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of this, to please indicate to Sarah you'd like to speak.
There is no one in the audience that wishes to speak.
Okay, and there was 0 correspondence, so I'll pass on that, and that's a rarity. And so I'll now say, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak either against this or as a specific question? Please indicate to Sarah now that you'd like to speak.
There is no one that wishes to speak in opposition.
Okay, then we'll have questions from the board. Buck, do you have any questions?
Buck has no questions.
Dennis?
Was that me, Dave? Dennis
Yes,
Sullivan,
I'm
no
sorry,
questions?
Dennis. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you frozen on my computer for some reason, but no, I have no questions.
Dave Thompson?
Dave Thompson has no questions, sir.
Megan?
Megan Story has no questions.
Mr. Beach?
Dave Veach has no questions.
Paul?
Paul Semple has no questions.
Happy?
Happy has no questions.
And I don't either. So we would entertain a motion. Paul, please.
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
Okay, need to vote. Mr. Dave Veach?
Veach votes yes.
Paul?
Semple votes yes.
Happy?
Happy votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. So let's say, Paul, how do you feel about this one?
I think that the change is beneficial, and they've talked with neighbors who have no objection. I don't see a need to enforce a more stringent requirement here, so I will vote in favor.
Okay, Happy?
I would vote in favor as well.
Buck?
Yep, this is Buck. Agreeing with Mr. Semple's commentary, I will support the project.
Okay, Dennis?
Dennis Sullivan, yeah, I would agree. If I were voting, I would vote in favor of it.
Dave Thompson?
I agree. If I was voting, I would vote I would vote yes, definitely.
Megan?
I would vote yes.
Dave Veach?
Yes, I agree with Paul. There's certainly no substantial detriment to the neighborhood with this proposal, and I'll support it.
Yeah, and I am too. I'm glad that what's left of the previous generator on the street is being removed, because that's the wrong place for it anyway, number one. So with all that, Paul, do you have a motion for a vote?
Yeah, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to approve the application as submitted.
Okay.
Dave Veach seconds.
Okay, Dave Veach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Paul?
Semple votes yes.
Happy?
Happy votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
And I vote yes. That's a unanimous decision. Thank you both very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll go back to Mr. Zebrat. And Mark, we did have the application read by Sarah, so we don't need to do that again. And so the floor is yours.
David, unfortunately, we don't have Mark on yet.
Okay.
Oh, wait, he just called in, so
Hello?
He's here.
Okay. Hi, Mark.
Hi, I'm doing this by phone.
Okay, well, that's all right. The floor is yours.
Okay, just as she was reading the ad, the whole thing went dead.
Okay.
All right. Anyways, I'm here representing the Fortons at, I'm a little disheveled now, at 107 Main Street in Chatham. What they are looking at doing is connecting their second floor of their existing dwelling to the second floor of their existing garage via raising the roof in the connector that's on the main floor. We do not intend to increase the ground floor area. I am before the board because I am raising the roof within a sideline setback and adding some more floor area. The overall lot coverage doesn't change. It's been to the Historical Commission and has been approved by them. Any questions?
Well, would you just quickly run through the criteria for us?
Absolutely. In terms of the adequacy of the site, there's no increase in lot coverage. It's compatible with neighborhood structures and approved by the Historic Commission. It's the proposed increase in non-conforming nature, basically raising the roof within the sideline setback, but there's no increase in the lot coverage. We are creating some more floor area within the sideline setback. Suitability of site is consistent with the neighborhood. That doesn't cause any new environmental conditions. Impact of scale and siting. The project, again, was approved by the Historical Commission. It is compatible with residential uses as it is a residential use itself. The septic system is adequate for the proposed use. There'll be no impact on traffic, no impact on noise and litter, and all utilities are adequate to service this addition, and it doesn't involve a formula business.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this project? If so, please indicate to Sarah now.
I see no one that wishes to speak in favor of the project.
Okay, I will read the correspondence. First, we have a note from Judy Giorgio. She's the Board of Health agent. She writes on 11/4, I have reviewed the plan to renovate the second floor. The changes as proposed do not increase the sewage flow at the property. The property is approved for a 3-bedroom dwelling. The area over the garage is not considered a bedroom and must remain a common area. Should you have any questions, let me know. Then we have a note. This is actually from Michelle Clark, and she writes on October 20th. The applicant came before the Historical Commission on August 18, 2020, with an application to add a second floor garage/dwelling connector. Commission reaffirmed the structure as historically significant, but determined that the proposed modifications do not negatively affect the historical integrity of the structure and therefore did not impose a demolition delay. In addition, the home located at 107 Main is a contributing structure in the Old Village National Historic Registered District. After review of the proposed changes, the Commission determined that the changes as proposed on the plans presented do not constitute a substantial alteration to the contributing structure. And then we also have a note from, this is dated Thursday today. It is addressed to Sarah Clark, and it is from Sharon Drone. Sharon writes, Sharon is the treasurer tax collector for the town of Chatham. She writes, there is one application in tonight's meeting that has an outstanding personal property tax. Sorry for the delay on these, but I am short-staffed right now. So that is this situation. Mark, can you speak to the outstanding personal property tax of your
Well, it's a personal property tax, not a property tax, so it's probably not a huge lot of money, but I will make the Fortons aware of it once I've got the decision of the board today.
Okay, very good. Yeah, it's probably on their, either on their automobile or boat, something like that. That's probably what it is. Okay, very good. So, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak either against this or have a specific question? If so, please indicate now so that Sarah can see you.
I see no one that wishes to speak in opposition.
Very good. Okay, questions from the board. Buck,
Buck has no questions.
Dennis,
Dennis Sullivan, I have no questions.
Dave Thompson,
I have no questions, sir.
Megan,
I have no questions.
Dave Beach.
I'm still recused on this one.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Paul,
This is Paul Semple. Just to establish that I am not a potted plant here, because I've asked no questions all afternoon. In looking at your south elevation, Mark, the windows there do not look like the windows that I saw. Is that different from?
They are three vertical. They're all that three vertical, 3/1 windows.
No, I mean on the first floor.
On the first floor,
Yes.
I believe they should be.
Really didn't look.
We're not
they didn't
changing
look
any
like-
windows. We're not changing any windows on the first floor.
Okay. All right. Well, then just at least as I looked at it, it didn't match these plans. But that's my only question. Thank you.
okay. Happy, did you have a question?
I have no questions.
Okay, and I have no questions. Then, Paul, I'd entertain a motion.
Yes, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
Okay, then, Paul, how do you vote on that?
Paul votes yes.
All right, Happy, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Dennis, you're a voter here. How do you vote?
Dennis Sullivan votes yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, deliberations. We'll start with Megan.
My biggest concern was, whether or not it had been, and it has, approved by the Historical Commission. And I think if they see no problem with it, then it looks good to me.
Okay, Paul.
Yes, I agree. I don't think it's substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, and it looks like a nice change.
Happy.
I agree. It's very appropriate for the neighborhood and a nice design, so I'm all for it.
Buck.
Certainly not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. I'll support it.
Dennis.
Yes, I certainly telling that the Historical Commission has voted in favor of this, and it's a nice project.
Dave Thompson.
Looks like a very nice project. I would definitely vote for this.
Okay. So, Paul, I would entertain a motion. I don't think we need to worry about conditions. Parking on Main Street would just be impossible, and I don't think it would happen.
Well, in connection with that, I'm unclear. I went up that driveway. It's a nice protected area there around the back door and the garage, but there isn't a whole lot of room. I'm not quite clear on when this construction would take place and how everything would be handled.
Okay, let's ask. Mark, can you answer that, please?
I spoke to the contractor today, and they anticipate, if we get approvals, having this substantially complete before the summer.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone think we need any kind of time restriction on this? If so, please indicate. Paul?
Well, I guess what I would say is, assuming that that's in fact the case, that things would be done before the summertime, there isn't a problem.
Yeah,
but if it goes beyond that, there might be. So
suppose they get delayed,
Well, there's no large trucks involved with this addition. No, there's no mixed trucks, no excavation equipment. no cranes or anything coming in. There's just
Okay.
a small load of lumber to take care of what's in there and to remove what little bit of roof structure has to be removed.
Okay. All right.
All right, well, in that case, I'll move to approve the application as submitted without conditions.
Okay. Would someone please second that?
Buck seconds it.
That's good. Okay. So we will now vote. Paul, how do you vote?
Sample votes yes.
Happy?
Happy votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Dennis?
Sullivan votes yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you, Mark. That's a unanimous decision.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the board, and thank you to Sarah for helping me out. Have a nice
Okay.
afternoon.
Okay. We have one more piece of business today. We need to approve the 2021 meeting schedule that Sarah sent around. Is there anyone that had a problem with any of that?
Now, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to approve the schedule as submitted.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, then we'll vote on that. Mr. Veach?
Veach votes yes.
Paul?
Sample votes yes.
Happy?
Happy votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
And I vote yes. That's a unanimous vote. Is there anything else that anybody needs to bring up?
Mr. Nixon,
I think we've got some minutes.
we have the minutes of October 22nd.
Okay.
This is
escaped
Paul
me.
Semple. I'll move to approve the minutes of October 22nd. I made one addition, which has been changed.
Okay.
Second by David Veach.
Okay. Dave Veach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Paul?
Sample votes yes.
Happy?
Votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Okay, and I'll vote yes also. All right. So with that, is there any other business anybody wants to bring up? Good. All right, it's 4:07, a little different than it was 2 weeks ago. Just a little.
Yes.
A little time back.
So, Sarah, the official time, at least I'm looking at, is 4:08. Do you agree?
I have 408 on my computer as well.
Okay, so we need a roll call by everybody to end the meeting. Dave Veach,
Veach votes yes.
Paul,
Sample votes yes.
Happy,
Happy votes happily yes.
Buck,
Upson votes yes.
Dennis,
Sullivan votes yes.
Dave Thompson,
Thompson votes yes.
Megan,
Megan votes yes.
and I vote yes. Good night, everyone, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Sarah, I'll see you tomorrow at 9:30.